Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
Morning, Don.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, you're welcome. This is what we're here for. We were having a discussion of backgrounds when you first get in. This is what my window looks like right now because I'm in Arizona. So,
Oh, jealous, Alan.
hi, Jen. Yeah, this is my morning walk every day, Jen. I get to see the sunrise
Oh, that's fabulous.
because
So
there's
you're
no,
not missing Northern Virginia at all, are you?
of course not. Of course not.
This is me. Good morning.
Actually, I have to tell you, Jen, I've lost a lot of weight from no stress of being a teacher.
Really?
Oh, yes.
So that's what I have to look forward to?
There you go. All right, I know this is all being recorded, so let's go ahead and get started. People are still coming in. The first few frames here are pretty simple. Ambu, if you could move us along one. So for those of you that are new to Science Olympiad and Division A and so forth, there are a few things that we need to remind you of. Science Olympiad is we create it to build excitement in STEM things, especially for elementary school in Division A. We know that all little kids are scientists at heart and they just like to explore, and that's what we try to do with Division A is to make it more of an exploration into the sciences in the different ways so they can sort of choose their paths there. As you can see on the slide here, Division A is third through fifth grade. And we don't accept anything younger than third grade or anything older than fifth grade. The biggest part of this is fifth graders, as a team or as a school, you would have a choice of either having a Division B team or a Division A team. But fifth graders can't participate in both of them in a school year. And with the timelines we have this year, that would be very difficult for a fifth grader to do. So these are the divisions. We work exclusively with the third through fifth grade age students. At your school, you can have a maximum of 3 teams, and that is 3 sets of 15 students. We sort of use the name school and team interchangeable because a lot of schools only have one team. But your school is your top tier, and then within that you could have 1, 2, or 3 teams. You can have, as I did at my school, I would have a third grade team, a fourth grade team, and a fifth grade team. But you don't have to have them by age level. You can have them all mixed within one group if you want. Um, then how you make up that team is entirely up to you. How you schedule the students is entirely up to you. With certain things we'll get to here in a moment. But how you pair them up, um, it's a coach's decision. It's not a parent decision. It's not a student decision. So just make sure you're aware of that and your parents are aware of that because I know that some parents can really try to get their way on some of these things. Next slide. So, in Division A, we decided a long time ago that third graders weren't getting a fair shake on some of the better events. So we create a list of events just for third graders. They're listed in the rules manual. It says third grade right at the top of it, and in the schedules it says third grade only. Um, Fourth and fifth graders cannot participate, even if they're just there to hold the hand of a student who's all by themselves. They can't be there. It has to be third grade only. And they have both written events and building events that are just for them, and they will be graded just as that age. So we have written knowledge events. These are 30-minute long events, and they have an assessment. So an event like anatomy this year, it's a 30-minute event, and within those 30 minutes, we can't give them the um, uh, whole book on what a student should know through college. So we tend to make sure that it at least goes through eighth grade information. Sometimes it'll go higher. So we're not asking for them to study everything that they could possibly study, but to learn what the event's about, and to have fun with it. These events are in your master schedule as a coach. You can't change their times. Your student must come at that time. If you have more than one team at your school, all of your teams will come at that same time. And we'll talk about the schedule here a little bit further down. Almost all events are two-person events. Students may participate by themselves, but it's kind of hard for some of these events. For my team, if a student, let's say they didn't show up, their partner didn't show up, I would still find somebody who had nothing to do for a half hour, send them with them. At most, they could read the question so that the student could try to remember what they studied to answer the questions. But students can participate by themselves. It's usually two. This year we are bringing back pentathlon, which is a 5-person event. It's a relay event. So you have to look at that and see how that fits into your schedule too. The rules this year, we've added in sample study guides. They are AI created. So take that with a grain of salt. I did not proof them out to see if AI gave us all the correct information. But they are at least a study guide for students to start looking at information, trying to see what might be in the event. The second type of event we have are building events, and these are 45-minute long events. Division A is not like Division B and C. In Division A, we provide all the materials and all the devices, and we call them devices, must be made by the students at the competition. We do this. One thing is to take parents out of the program. They can be there as guides and so forth. But we want to see what the students can do on their own. So most of the events will have a little short 5-10 question assessment with it, so that they can so that we know that they've really studied the event and they just didn't practice building things. So like this year on bridge building, they have to build a certain type of bridge, and we want to make sure that they've studied and looked at those kind of bridges so that they know what they're going on. For all of the building event, well, for the building events in the general rules, third graders can participate in all of those. I should have said that in the written events also. So not only do we have events just for third graders, but third graders can participate in any event that's in the rule book. It's just fourth and fifth we're going to limit to the general population rules. These are coach scheduled. So once you get your team made, once you get your team number and you know where your written events are going to fall in the day, then you can go back in and plug in where you have time for your students to do their building events. So if Johnny's taking a test at 9 o'clock for anatomy, he really can't do a building. He can't do a building event at 9 o'clock. And you'll have to find a time where he might pair up with his partner on that. You need to treat if you have more than one team, treat them as separate teams, because especially for building events, your school does not have to participate at the same time in building events for multiple teams. It's just in the written events. And new this year, we're not going to allow last minute changes on the day of the tournament. We're expecting really packed time crunch days. And those last minute changes they really slow things down for the teams getting started. And I did see there was a question. I have to find my questions here. Yep, there we go. Let's get those answered. Yeah, to Paul, yeah, you can have a teammate jump in. I've had teammates jump in and win medals. Just just because, the student who showed up knew everything that was there. Um, so yes, they can, anybody can jump in. The only caveat on that is a fourth and fifth grader can't jump into a third grade event. That's the only thing there.
And the next thing is they should belong to the same team.
Yes. Yeah. So if you have multiple teams at your school, they have to have the same team number. And that's one thing that later in the year, as we get closer, we'll explain the wristband situations and things like that. As a school, you can have up to 3 teams of 15 students. Each one gets a unique number. Your students in your school on different teams are going to compete against each other. They're not competing as a school, they're competing as a team. But when they go to the competition, if their wristbands don't match their team number, they can't participate together. Sometimes there's some confusion on the day of. They've been practicing together. Let's say you had 2 teams, you've got 4 students practicing the same event, and for some reason the coach hasn't told them that Johnny and Susie are on the same one, and Carl and Mary are on a different team, and they show up and the girls try to pair together and the boys try to pair together. So you have to make that clear to them. Again, back to the rules. Make sure you read the rules. 2 students per team except for pentathlon, and students can participate alone. So to some questions that we have, another question we have, the students are only limited by the amount of time each event takes, really. It's kind of hard to squeeze in building events and written events. I never let my students do more than 3 events, and most of mine wind up just doing 2 events. And part of that is there's a wealth of knowledge out there, especially for a third grader trying to learn all of that stuff. The more events they're in, for some of them, the harder it is for them to win a medal and have a good time. But that's a student coach decision as to how much you can fit in the schedule, and we'll see the schedule here in a moment. Our competition is changing this year. This year they will be half-day competitions. You will, as you sign up in the portal, get to choose 2 half days, out of which we will assign you to one of those half days. So you'll either get a morning time, or you'll get an afternoon time, and that will be your sub competition. So we're going to have 2 competitions going simultaneously all day long on the 2 weekends that we're doing this. And part of this is the growth that we're expecting to happen. So the blueprint infrared sessions would be in the morning. You would be assigned, let's say that you wanted the morning at Lake Braddock, you would be the blueprint one. The grant available for the first team has to be in the Division A group. Not too sure what that question is about. Ambu, do you know that question?
I didn't see it.
It says the grant available for the first team has to be in the Division
I
A.
know the answer to that question.
Okay, thank you,
Dr.
Karen.
Starr, the grant is available in Division B and C. It is the donor of the outreach grant is interested in funding the Division B and the Division C team, so it is not applicable in Division A. If you're interested in fielding the Division B team, and I think you've talked to Emily, the state director, about that, it would be applicable to the team that you field in Division B. If you want to talk to me afterwards, we can talk after the session is over.
And then another question that popped up, to Karna there, in my mind, in principle, I don't let students do more than 3 events. If you can fit it into their schedule, you could give them 6 events because there's 6 different sessions going on. The question would be is how taxing is that on a young third grader, or even a young fifth grader, to give them 6 really hard events to study on, and not give them any fun on the building events. But it is possible. I've seen it happen. I just, I've not seen students win 6 medals in a row. So that's your choice. All right, so back to our competition format. So let's just take a morning, for instance. There's going to be 2 separate competitions going on in the morning. They may be sitting in the same written event, but the system we've got built will parse out the scores so that a blue and a red team would have separate scores within that event. Within the building events, we're going to have 2 rooms going for each event. So build a barge would be happening in 2 different rooms. Red and blue would be in separate rooms working on their things. So your team is only going to compete against teams in your sub competition. If you're on the blueprint track, your team would only participate against the blueprint students, even though they might be sitting in a room with a different color competition. Each competition is going to get a full set of medals, and this year we're going to award down to 10th place. There's a lot of opportunities there for students to earn awards. And that's sort of what we're going to do. Like I said, it's something new we're trying, and I think it's going to be, for those of you who've been around for a while, Science Olympiad is very hectic to begin with, but now we're going to try to do 4 different competitions on the same day. I always, to a question in the chat there, I always recommend that a school usually start off with 1 team. Just because you as a coach, there's a lot of new things to learn as a coach, especially that scheduling your students is one of the hardest things for them. Reading the rules with them and planning with them is pretty easy, especially for those of us who are educators, because we do that all the time. But it's that scheduling part of when you're going to do things. We'll get to the event being held here in a few moments. So as a coach, you are our point of contact, and we request that you have an assistant coach or somebody who can speak for the team if you're not available. And we just want those 2 points of contact. We don't want parents contacting us, mentors, other coaches. And the reason is it just becomes so burdensome that we have so many people trying to ask us questions. If you have someone associated with your team, like a parent or even a high schooler who's coaching students, they should come to you with their questions, and then you can come to us with your questions. Your responsibilities are, 1, to go and get your coach portal account. And those links are in the rules manual. They're also out there at the Virginia Science Olympiad website. There's a login session there where you can get your account. It lets us know how many teams you're going to bring. It lets us know that you are the official coach. Those kind of things. You're going to set up your team. You're going to advertise for students. You need to get parent permissions. You can have the parents do this online through the portal after you set up your coach account. Or in the case of some of our some students who don't have a computer at home, or families don't have a computer at home, you can print out a paper copy and you can fill out that registration for them. One of the big things we're going to need, since we are going to this format this year, you will be responsible for getting volunteers to help with the competition. And this isn't the parent just walking students to and from an event. This is someone to help run an event. And a lot of times, really, we just need that second adult in the room to make sure that the rules are followed, to make sure that nobody's being treated unfairly, and so forth. So that volunteer recruitment is 2 volunteers just to help with the competition. And yes, for those of you who've been around a while, in the past, we haven't used your volunteers because we've had a lot of high schoolers. But now that we're going to 2 competitions basically at the same time with double the rooms, we're going to need those extra hands to help us. And then you are in charge of that team management for both students and parents. And students are usually not a problem. They usually follow all the rules because they want to they're having a good time. It's parents where a lot of times they start overstepping their boundaries. They think that they can enter rooms that are being tested. We've even had requests of parents to sit next to their student during the testing. They walk through the middle of our competitions, not understanding that, the say they walk in the middle of pentathlon and you got 5 teams running at the same time, and it just interrupts the whole thing. So one of the things we need you to express to your parents is they need to sit on the sidelines, they need to relax, they need to let their kids have fun with silence.
So, any questions that we need to answer?
Yeah, we have a big long one here. On the scheduling for schools, if we have 2 teams and they need to be in the same sub competition, yes. On the same day, yes. Across 2 days, we're going to have 4 competitions, but only one at a time. There's going to be 2 competitions going on simultaneously at all times, across the days. But your school would be just in one of those competitions. I hope that makes sense. At the same location, correct? Yes. So when you go in, you're going to pick a day. Basically, you're going to pick a day, either at the Lake Braddock or the Oakton high schools. You're going to pick a day, morning, afternoon. What's your first choice? What's your second choice, and so forth. So your school would come, say, back to the blueprint part. You would all be in blueprint track, or you would all be in your infrared track. Your school would be. Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, so these are the steps that you need to follow as a coach. So please visit our website to start the registration process. This should have all the information you require to get started, the interest form. Please do fill that up, and then the rules manual can be accessed from here, and where else? And as far as a coach portal account, this is where you go to and request a coach portal account. So going back here, the first step is please visit our website, fill up the interest form, and sign up for a portal account. So essentially, if you click here, it would look something. Okay, let me actually sign out. I should have signed out before. Okay, so it would take you to a page like this. You need to sign up for an account. When you click on sign up, you should be able to fill this information in and request one. Even though the cell phone is not mandatory, please plan on providing one, because that's one way for us to contact you on the competition day. So as soon as you request an account, we will be receiving your request, and once we approve it, you should be able to access the portal and use all its features. Going back here, so once you sign up, you will be asked to submit the number of teams you're planning to field, fill in the mandatory forms, and so on and so forth. Let me actually sign in and show you how it looks as a coach. So this is how your screen should look like. So you will be able to provide the tournament preferences and any paperwork, the mandatory paperwork that you have to submit. You can go and download those paperwork and have them filled and signed by the principal and get it to us. You should be emailing it to Division A at Virgin. Karen, correct me if I'm wrong. It should be sent to registration, right?
Yes, registration at Virginia. Is it wrong on the website? The instructions are in the portal and on the paperwork. So it's registration
awesome.
at virginiaso.org.
Yep, it should be sent to registration at virginiaso.org. So after that, you get to pay the fees. There's one thing that you might want to understand here, like if you finalize a number of teams, say you decided the when you signed up for a portal account, you said that you're going to field one team and you confirmed everything and you paid the invoice and whatnot. And there is so much interest that you want to add another team. So if you want to add another team after you have created an invoice, please reach out to us so that we can change the number of teams, and then you can go ahead, pay for the new team and proceed with the other steps. So as I said, create the portal account, do what's needful over there, and then download and distribute the event rules, form teams, assign events, and start practicing. The most important thing that you'll have to do is have the parents sign up permission forms. So clicking on this link should take you here and it should open up here. So the parents can sign up online, so that as and when they sign up, their information will start to show up on your portal if the student belongs to your school. In some cases, as Alan said, there might be instances where you might want to distribute paper forms to them. That is fine, but it is your responsibility to input the information online so that you are able to see the student information pop up on your portal. So regardless whether it's paper form or not, it has to be entered online and it would be your responsibility.
So
Okay,
Amber, we have a question here. So Paul, the deadlines are coming up here in a moment. They're also listed in your coach portal as to all the deadlines that you need. And then Dr. Starr, I'll come back to your question after we're done with this.
thank you. And please start recruiting volunteers. That would be 2 volunteers per team number. So if it's 1 team, it would be 2. If it's 2 teams, it would be 4. And 3, it would be 6 volunteers. We will do our best to use high school volunteers, but given the number of competitions that we're going to run on a given day, we will need more volunteers. Okay, going back to the portal here. Sorry, it's taking a while. Okay, so as I said, the registration status, tournament preferences, you should be able to choose which one you prefer. Over here, first tournament choice and the second tournament choice. Registration paperwork, I've already showed you that. Changing the number of teams once you submit and made an invoice, then we should be able to make the changes. So please reach out to us. Paid coach info, that's pretty self-explanatory. And students signing up. So as and when the parents fill the permission form, you should be able to see the student information pop up over here. So that's why it is very important that it is done online. So please have the parents sign up online, or else if it's a paper form, please make sure that information is entered online.
Ambu, can we talk a little bit about sometimes students become orphans out there in the system? They've chose the wrong team or the wrong school. If you have one of those, the delete button is just going to send them into that unknown area, and then we can reach out and find what school they belong to. So sometimes the parents fill this out at midnight. They're blurry-eyed and they pick the wrong one by mistake. So and this is not a spot where the students should be signing up these forms. This is the parents have to sign up these forms.
Thank you. So volunteer sign up, this will open up later during the year. And when that happens, you should be able to see that information here as well. Fill in the interest form, sign up for a portal account. And once that is done, please share the information with the parents for permission forms, and also get the mandatory paperwork done. That's pretty much it. after the registration, these are several things that we will be discussing, but these will be during the later meetings. We'll discuss about volunteer sign up, how to schedule building events, volunteer assignments, and what to plan for on the tournament day. This is where we will be talking about chaperones. These are people who will be helping guide students to and fro to the events. So this would be apart from the volunteers that you will be providing us to run the tournament. So awards and science expo, we will be talking in greater detail in future meetings. Okay. How to prepare. So check the rules for guidance, and as Alan mentioned earlier, each and every event will have a study guide which we generated using AI. So please take it with a grain of salt. But this is a great starting point. So please go through this with the students, and this should help them get a leg up in preparation for the event. The next one is library is the best resource, and please the next one, please look for parent or teacher experts within your school to mentor. So, and also reach out to high schoolers in your area for volunteer hours. Scioli.org is another great resource, but that's geared more towards division B and C. That doesn't mean that you cannot use it. It just means that you have to pare it down to a division A level for the students to understand and make use of it. The biggest thing here is teach students how to research on a topic using the rules for guidance and the study guide as a starting point. Alan, would you like to throw some more light here?
Which part? I'm sorry, Ambu, I was on a different thought.
Research, how to research on a topic.
So to me, the third graders just coming in really don't know how to research. They don't know how to use their computers to find information. So to me, third graders are your starting point on this. How are you going to get them to understand all of this? As practices go, my practice is usually where I would only work with one study event. Or actually, I would get a study event started on, this is where I want you to research for the day. And then I would work on a building event with my builders. So I'd be working with 6 students. Any student can come to a practice at any time. I just might not be helping them the whole time. And they just need to know those boundaries type of thing. But a typical study session for me is they come in, they have a snack. We have a little, powwow about what's going on with the team, what we want to accomplish for the day. And then we break into our study groups, and each pair will go off and study. It gets kind of crazy at times when you have 3 different pairs that are in different events together, and you say, okay, well, you're going to get to spend in an hour session, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes there. But if you start early enough in the year, those do add up into that. Using Google for my teams were a big thing because they could go out there and they could start putting notes for each other. And if they couldn't study together for an event, they could at least put some information out there that they could look at together later on. So for every practice that I had, I made sure that I was working with one building event a day. After that first initial, this is how you're going to run this event for a building event, then they could come in the subsequent days and with materials just practice on their own without my help. And that's what we did. Let me go back to some things here. So Dr. Starr, I hope we answered your question there with having the outlines there to help you with your students studying for. Remember, these are really short tests. They're just enough to see, like this year for bridge building, it's a truss bridge. Do they know what a truss bridge is, and how it stays up? Those kind of questions. Remember, for Division A, this meeting is just for Division A, so it doesn't do 5th through 8th grade teams. That would be the Division B group. And I'm not up on what their events are this year because I'm not coaching the team. next, Ambu? Or should we pause for questions?
Oh, we can pause for questions. As far as the Division B events are concerned, please visit our website. You will have all the information you need over there. Let's pause for questions, Alan. Anything that you would like to ask about preparation, please go ahead.
So Dr. Starr, the guidelines for we don't give out, this is exactly what's going to be on the test. Our test writers are given a leeway within the guidelines of the rules to pick and choose what they want to have on there. So the written events are the 30 minutes, usually it's going to be around 20-25 questions. For the building events, it's usually no more than 10 questions, but they're all within that outline or within the rules. So if they've studied the event, the students are going to know what's there.
Just trying to get an anatomy. Oh, let's look at oceans. Okay. So for a written event, the competition, say for example, for oceans, this is what they're expected to know. General adaptation, daily migrations of the ocean animals. But if you go down here, this will give you some details about what the students have to prepare on. So the event supervisors are going to look at the same thing as the students are seeing in the rules. So they'll make all efforts to stick to what is stated in the rules. They're not going to go way beyond what's being stated here. When I say what's being stated here, I mean what is under the competition right here. So they'll stick to that. So the students will have a better idea about what to study by looking at the study guides given here. Again, as we said before, this is generated using AI. It will actually help you if the students research on their own based on these guidelines. Any other questions?
So Steph, hold on one second, Yasmin. So Stephanie asks if we have any resources or examples for interest forms for elementary school to gather. So what I created them by just taking the looking at the rules, taking the description of the event, putting that on the paper for each event, and then having the students pick and choose which ones they thought that they were interested in. That's all I did, plus and attach that to the parent permission forms. That's all I've ever done. I don't have anything set right now that I could send you, but I could probably find an old one later on today and email you one. And then Yasmin?
Yeah. So my question was, I am struggling getting all those materials for the building events. Do you guys have kits ready-made that we can purchase from you guys?
No, we don't.
No, okay. So we do have to get all that material, right? I have many students, but they're all kind of spread out right now. They're picking many different events. They're very excited about it. But when I look at it, and I'm the only one, I don't get too many volunteers to help me out. So usually I'm the only one doing this. And for me to gather all these materials and get them to start building, it is a little challenging. So that's what I wanted to ask, if there's any way we can purchase any kits, maybe for the future.
The only thing that we can provide here, Yasmin, is a list of things that you will need to run the tournament, or have teams. The material list, instead of you having to go and search individually from each for each event, you will get a big list of items that you will have to purchase. So that's the only thing that we'll be able to provide.
Right. I see that. Yeah, that's what I always do. But I was just thinking it would be a little helpful for my kind of groups to have kits made, and then you can just take those kits and work on your building events. But thank you for all that you guys do. It's wonderful. I've been here for like 4 or 5 years, and my kids really enjoy it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Yasmin.
And going to Paul's comment there about B and C, I'm a firm believer the kids should make everything from scratch. So I never went to Wards to buy any of their kits. Plus, they're so expensive. For those of you who are new to this, Division A is basically kitchen science. It's how many popsicle sticks can you find? How many pipe cleaners can you find? Do you have clay? Things like that. Do you have a plastic bowl that you can put in water for them to test buoyancy and things? So we don't try to go out of our way for things. If you are a Fairfax County school, I know for sure that every school has a set of safety goggles. They must have it for their science. Um, they might not have safety glasses, but everyone has to have safety goggles. And we did have some reports last year of teachers saying that their school didn't have any because they'd been returned to the warehouse. You just need to make sure that they're sitting in a closet somewhere in your building. You just need to track them down. I'm not too sure about the Loudoun County and all the other counties around us. Okay, what else can we do for you out there?
Okay. Moving on. So talking about event conflicts and scheduling, and this is a typical infrared team schedule. And as you can see here, both anatomy and extremo files are being held at the same time, and fast facts and data investigations are being held at the same time, so on and so forth. And if you look at the build events, these are coach scheduled. So if a student is being assigned anatomy, then as a coach, you should not be assigning him or her extremo files. He or she can do fast facts. And let's look at the time here and over here. So any of those building events, you know already it's about 45 minutes long, which means it almost takes up the time taken for a student to write 2 written events. So which means if a student is competing in anatomy at 8:20, he or she may be able to participate in something else between 9 to 9:30. But that person cannot be participating in Astronaut Lander or any other building event between 8:30 to 9:30. So this is what you need to keep in mind while you're scheduling. So over here, any written event out here, it is set in stone. There is no way you can change that time. As soon as you get your team numbers, you will know at what time these students will be competing in any of these written events. But as far as the build events are concerned, it's up to you where you want to put those students in. So this is in greater detail here. Say, for example, John is interested in anatomy and extremo files, astronaut lander, and pentathlon. And as you can see here, anatomy and extremo files are happening at the same time, which means John has to choose between anatomy and extremo files. So then in that case, if he chooses anatomy, then he can choose either fast facts or data investigations. So he can have 2 written events. And if he's particular about competing in 2 written events. But so that's one option. Then he's also interested in astronaut lander and pentathlon. And both of these are 45-minute events. So if you give astronaut lander over here between 9:40 to 10:10, so he's already competing in anatomy here and fast facts here, and he's competing in astronaut lander here, which means this is the only slot between 11 to 12 is the only slot that he can participate in pentathlon. So in a given day, a student can compete in 2 written events, 1 building event, and 1 group event. So that's the max that you can do. Like if you wanted the student to have a wide variety, like you want the student to do a written event and a building event and the pentathlon as well. And you also have to take into consideration who this student is being partnered with. about his event conflicts as well when you start assigning events. So to make this easy, we have created some worksheets. Again, I'm going to give a disclaimer. So this is just a place for you to start. You can go ahead and download whichever one that you would like to have. In case this trial worksheet will not have the actual times, but you can use this as well. Say, for example, I put John here. I'll go ahead and make sure I add John.
Ambu, can you zoom in a little bit?
For some reason, it's not doing it. Oh, let's see, it's coming up. Okay,
There we go.
so I'm going to add John and FastFacts, and I'm going to try and add him here in data investigations. It should screen because it's being held at the same time and there are event conflicts. So I cannot do that, but I can put him in anatomy for certain. It will allow me. But if John is interested in astronaut lander, let's see what happens. It will screen because 2 of his events will be affected. So I will have to move John to astronaut lander here. He should be fine. And if he wants to do pentathlon, you cannot do pentathlon here because it will screen. So I cannot do he cannot do pentathlon there as well because those events are being affected. So he or she has to attend here. So this will actually give you an idea about, when it comes to scheduling, you can use it. You will be able to download it both from the portal and any link that's there on the presentation. So you should, and one other thing that you'll be able to see is once you assign this, you will be able to see how many events John received, whether it was the number of written events, the number of building events, so on and so forth. So this will help you to understand where the students are being assigned and whatnot. The most important thing that you have to do though is each student name should be unique. If there are 2 Johns, make sure that you differentiate them in some way so that this will work for you. So as I said before, this does not have the time, but these ones will have the time, time specific. This will have the time at what time these students will participate. So it's up to you which one you want to use. Feel free. Any questions regarding scheduling?
So Lingley asks, what does the color on these tables indicate? Time schedule? I think the colors are just indicating the band of when the events are happening in a schedule. If that makes sense. Once you play with it, you'll see and understand it. So
This is
yeah.
if you're talking about these colors, this is essentially blue and yellow makes green, which means if they're competing in any of these events, then they will not be able to compete in these events at this given time.
And back to an earlier question on scheduling, you can see by this a student could do 6 written events in a day, but they wouldn't be able to do any building events.
Yeah.
So the most that they could do is they could do 4 written events and 1 building event, but then that would have to fit into everybody else's schedule.
So if you want pentathlon thrown in as well, then a student, only 5 students can compete. That's one thing you have to take into consideration. So 1 pentathlon, 1 building event, and 2 written events. That's the max.
Right.
Otherwise, you can have 6 written events.
Dr. Starr asks, for bridge building, 3rd through 5th graders can participate in it for our competition. And just to remember, that's going to be, if you have 1 team, it's going to be only 2 students. It just can't be all of your students in bridge building. Okay.
Okay, these are the most important dates. So we are on September 20th. So we are having this meeting right now. We will be sharing the video as well as the slides for your use, so you can check it later on if needed. And please feel free to ask us any questions that you might have once you go through the slides. On October 11th, we have the new coach Q&A. This is not a presentation per se, but both Alan and I will be available to answer questions. We'll log in at around 9 a.m. and we'll send out the links as well. If you have any questions regarding registration or you need hands-on help, we will be there to provide you that during that time. Jan 9th is when the registration closes, post which you will not be able to add team or remove team, so on and so forth. So please make sure that you get all those things done, meaning the mandatory paperwork should be done. You should also have paid the fees as well. You won't be able to make any changes after Jan 9th. We will be assigning the tournament on Jan 30th. So all that means is you will get the team numbers as well as the date in which your team will be competing. And on Jan 31st, volunteer sign up opens. This is what we were talking about before. You will have to look for to have at least 2 volunteers per team. And if you have 3 teams, then you will have to provide 6 volunteers. The building event will open up on Feb 18th. Again, one thing that you need to understand is it's very important that you have met your volunteer requirement, because if you don't do so, then you will not be allowed to sign up for building events when it opens up. We'll also have coach meeting that day. Let me go back here. Coach meeting, and Feb 28th, volunteer sign up will close and volunteer assignments will be released. And as you the building event sign up closes on the 27th. And here on April 8th, the team rosters, it will be finalized on that day. And we'll also have a coach meeting to discuss about the tournament day expectations. And our 2 tournaments are on April 18th and the 25th.
Ambu, let me add something in here about the January 30th, the tournament assignment. On that date, once we tell you which tournament, we're also going to tell you what your team number is. So then you'll be able to start looking at that schedule. I would not schedule any students into any time slots, just in case Johnny's got a soccer game at 10 o'clock in the morning, but you need him in Science Olympiad at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I would wait until you get your team number before you start scheduling your students into time slots. It's okay to schedule them in advance, just make sure you're not scheduling time slots. The other thing I want to caution, especially new coaches, you need to push, once you know what dates you have, you need to push your parents, maybe weekly even, to tell them this is our Science Olympiad day. I've had students come up to me the day before competition saying, oh, I've got a basketball tournament, and they're going to go to the basketball tournament instead of coming to Science Olympiad. And they've spent all this time studying for it, because that's a parent's decision that they want to do the sport want them to do a sport instead of a science. So once you get that tournament assignment, make sure you're maybe weekly. I don't know. You know your parents better than I do, but hit them with that day of this is the day I need your kid for Science Olympiad. This is the day we're doing that. Another couple of questions just to confirm: 2 volunteers per team in addition to the 2 chaperones like prior years. Yes, that's correct. High schoolers as chaperones, Ambu. Your thoughts? I guess this is walking the students to and from events. That's one. Well, let's leave that question for a moment here, Lingley, because that's going to might have to change your mind a little bit on that.
Can I address that one, Alan?
The high schoolers have chaperones?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
So the chaperones really, you sign paperwork when you register with VASO. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm chair of the board. I should have put that in my name there. But you sign paperwork that you're going to chaperone and monitor the student in accordance with the policies of your school. And so if your school Like if your principal or their standards would be okay with high schoolers being charged with chaperoning your students on a day of a tournament, then that's okay. It's not our decision to make, but it is, it needs to be in accordance with the policies of your school.
And then the next question here, fifth graders not allowed to participate in A and B. This is a national rule. This is not a Division A rule. And in the back of my mind, it goes to what's fair to the students in your school. Somebody who's getting all the fun in Science Olympiad or spreading the wealth. That's my thought. But this is a national rule. That's not a Division A rule. And to Dr. Starr's question, yes, students can participate in 3 events. All right, moving on.
Okay. So all events were tested and rules were vetted by event supervisors. So we will not be having any clarification done during the course of the year. So
And that basically means don't read past the rules. Don't try to read more into the rules than what's there, because that's what our event supervisors are going to use. They're not going to go past the rules. So a lot of times the questions were coming up and people wanted more information. And that's why we give you the study guides this year. Don't try to read more into it. It's not Division A is not a competition that awards anything past the little medals. We don't have a state tournament. We don't have a national tournament. We're here to have fun. Dr. Starr, we do not provide lunch at this event. That's something your students are going to have to bring. Being a half day, they could effectively end after their last event, go eat lunch, and come back for the award ceremony. Same with if they're in the afternoon, same thing. Come already fed and go out to dinner and come back.
okay, these are our requests. Do not wait until the last minute to complete the registration formalities. Attend all the meetings or watch the recordings. I mean, we will do our best to answer all your questions, but given the number of teams that we are expected to compete this year, there might be delays in us reaching out to you or else getting back to you. So we will need volunteers this year, unlike past years, because we will have 3 tournaments worth of volunteers to run just the morning portion alone. Similarly, for the afternoon portion alone, we will need 3 tournaments worth of volunteers. So we are looking for volunteers. If you can provide more, great. It's better to have a pool and not to have a pool of volunteers. New this year, returning back, I should say, we are going to have inside team spaces for all the schools. But with that comes more responsibilities for you as coaches, because team management is under you. So you need to make sure that you manage your teams, both parents and students, so that the competition can be held without any issues or delays.
Now, another thought on that is you're probably not going to get an individual room for your team. You may be sitting in the gymnasium with another 1,000 people. So just keep that in mind also as you start thinking about this. That's something that we really haven't discussed as to where Spaces is yet. We haven't visited the buildings yet to see where things are.
Any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to us at division@virginiaso.org, and please give us a couple of days so that we get back to you. Back to you, Alan. Are there any other questions that you'd like us to?
I think we've answered all that's in the chat. So I guess that's it. If there's no more questions, thank you all for coming. Pass the word. We'll see a lot of you at our next meeting. Come with your new coach meeting or new coach questions, and as always, like she said, email us. There's 2 of us monitoring that email box. Actually, there's 4 of us monitoring that email box. Award ceremony. So if you've downloaded the rules manual, you'll see what time the award ceremonies are. They happen approximately 2.5 to 3 hours after the end of the last event in the competition schedule. They will be, don't know what they're going to be this year because we're going to be giving out awards to 2 different competitions at the same time. So um, we'll see what happens with that. Just keep in mind that, again, that's probably going to be held in a very large gymnasium because of how many parents and family members and everything else that are going to be there. But the awards will be 2.5 to 3 hours in person on that day. Talk to you later, Yasmin. Are there any other questions that we can help you with out there? All right, as we said, this is being recorded, so in case you need to go back and you missed something in the beginning, or you need to review it, see if we made any mistakes. I always make mistakes, just so you know. Just see if you can find them. So we'll have the recording up there on YouTube for everybody to look at. You can share it with parents, share it with anybody. Don't forget, download that rules manual, read it. Make sure you understand each event and what your responsibilities are. And hope you have a good year.
Don't go ahead and stop the recording.
Mm-hmm.